I found this to be a really slick and artful pop release. I was made familiar with Kelela and was acquainted with her music via the 2023, this year's release, a very moving and gripping album titled Raven, of a kind of a dense pop and considered soulful and socially conscious variety. Very, very impressive. And I went back to listen to this album, her breakout release, or one of the major critical breakthroughs, this EP, Hallucinogen, from 2015. It sounds like it could have been a release from a couple of years ago. This is really... you know what it reminds me of sonically? It reminds me a little bit of the... When Steven Wilson moved into pop in the later 2010s with his solo albums, it was an interesting kind of pop. Strangely, and not a lot of other pop artists resembled it in their production sound. I vaguely hear it, I was reminded of it when listening to Hallucinogen. And Hallucinogen predates a lot of that Steven Wilson stuff. I wonder if he was a fan. It was a fantastic listen, highly, highly recommended. I'd like to read out aloud now the background information regarding Kelela. Kelela Mizanakristos is an American singer. She was born June 6, 1983. She made her debut in the music industry with the release of her 2013 mixtape Cut For Me. In 2015, she released Hallucinogen, an EP which deals with the beginning, middle, and end of a relationship in reverse chronological order. Her debut studio album, Take Me Apart, was released in 2017 to critical acclaim. A very good album, to be sure. I would agree. A second-generation Ethiopian-American and an only child, Mizana Christos was born in Washington, D.C. on June 6, 1983. Growing up in Gaithersburg, Maryland, she learned to play the violin in 4th grade and sang in her school's choir. In 2001, she graduated from Magruder High School. After transferring from Montgomery College to the American University, Mizana Christos began singing jazz standards at cafes. In 2008, she joined an indie band called Dizzy Spells and sang progressive metal after meeting Tosin Abasi, whom she later dated. In 2010, she moved to Los Angeles, where she currently lives, in addition to London. In November 2012, Mizana Christos began work on her debut mixtape with already 2 recorded songs. Just to clarify, I'm not sure if I was pronouncing her name exactly correctly, Kelela Mizana Christos. She later quit her job as a telemarketer to fully pursue her career as a musician. Having moved to Los Angeles, Mazeneskritos connected with Teen Girl Fantasy and contributed to the group's 2013 album Tracer on the song EFX, which led her to meet Prince William from their label Fade to Mind. He introduced her to the sound of the record label and its sister imprint from London, Night Slugs. In May 2013, she appeared on Kingdom's Bankhead, and 5 months later released her mixtape Cut For Me for free. Harriet Gisbone of The Guardian described the mixtape as an experiment for the production team, the first time the production crew had used vocals on their club tracks. Her track Go All Night was included on Saint Heron, multi-artist compilation album released by Solange Knowles, the wonderful and brilliant Solange Knowles. Her 2 studio albums, A Seat at the Table, and then When I Get Home, are 2 of the greatest releases of the 21st century thus far. Absolutely, absolutely wonderful. The mixtape was heavily influenced by grime music, a popular electronic genre based in the UK, and helped revive the subgenre known as rhythm and grime. In December 2013, DJ Kitty Cash released her Love the Free mixtape, which featured her song The High. Mizana Christos later released the track herself on February 4th, 2014 on her SoundCloud. She also featured on Bok Bok's song Melba's Call, which was released on March 5th. On March 3rd, 2015, Mizana Christos announced the release of her first EP, Hallucinogen, alongside the release of the lead single, A Message, and its accompanying music video. The second single, Rewind, was released on September 2nd. The EP covers the beginning, middle, and end of a relationship in reverse chronological order. It includes the previously shared The High. In 2016, Mizana Christos was featured on A Breath Away from Clams Casino's 32 Levels, From the Ground from Danny Brown's Chaucerity Exhibition, and Scales from Solange's A Seat at the Table. In February 2017, she took part in Red Bull Sound Select's 3 Days in Miami. Later that year, she was featured on the track Submission alongside rapper Danny Brown and provided additional vocals on the track Busted and Blue from Gorillaz' album Humans. On July 14, 2017, Mizana Christos announced her debut studio album Take Me Apart. It was made available for pre-order on August 1st alongside the release of the lead single LMK. 3 more singles preceded the album: Frontline, Waitin', and Blue Light, before it was released on October 6, 2017. The album received widespread acclaim from music critics and featured on various year-end lists. It was also included in the 2018 edition of the book 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. The music critic Craig Jenkins noted heavy electronic instrumentation on the album with deconstructed dubstep wubs in Blue Light, and used Roland's synth that gave Jupiter its name, an instrument famous for its blaring leads, to play sultry chiptune instead. On June 13, 2018, Meisner Christos was featured on the Girl Unit remix of the song WYWD, which served as the lead single from his upcoming album Songfeel. The duo have previously worked together on Cut For Me's Floor Show and Hallucinogen's We Rind. On September 12, 2018, Meisner Christos announced Take Me Apart, the Remixes, a remix album consisting of remixes from her debut album, and shared a remix for LMK featuring Princess Nokia, Jungle Pussy, Cupcake, and Miss Boogie. The album features contributions from K Tranada, Rare Essence, Serpent with Feet, and more. On September 26, Meisner Christos shared K Tranada's Waitin' remix as the second single from the album. The album was released on October 5, 2018, making it a year since the release of Take Me Apart. On September 13, 2022, Meisner Christos released Washed Away, her first single in 5 years, along with a music video. On November 15, 2022, Meisner Christos announced her second studio album, Raven, would be released in early 2023. Happy Ending, On the Run, Contact, and Enough for Love were also released as singles prior to the release of the album. On February 10, 2023, Raven was released. She performed her song Enough for Love during a performance on The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon the same day. She's far better than that, surely, the garbage show. Raven includes collaborators such as Asmara from Fade, Two Minds, NGUZUN, GUZU. I'm not going to try and imagine how that's be pronounced. I'm not going to bother tonight here. Philly DJ and producer LSDXOXO, German ambient duo OCA, and Toronto DJ Bambi. The album showcases black futurist art and electronic music, sharing inspiration with Stevie Wonder, Herbie Hancock, and Sun Ra, to Janelle Monáe, Solange, Beyoncé, Trixia, and Alia. Kelela openly identifies as queer. In 2019, the artist made a reading primer that contained essays and literature, podcasts and videos, and documentaries as reference material for her friends, family, and business partners. Resources included Reader on Misogynoir by Candace Williams, The Will to Change by Bell Hooks, and Algorithms of Oppression by Safia Umoja Noble, the Seeing White podcast and IGTV videos from Sonia Renee Taylor about black labour called Are You Stealing from Black Folks, and More on Stealing from Black People, Right Relationship Beyond Capitalism, and The Last Angel of History, 1996, which features interviews from the late Octavia E. Butler and Greg Tate. The material inspired similar primers created and shared during the George Floyd protests and uprisings in 2020. If there is any artist's upcoming release I will be phenomenally excited for, it is no doubt Kelela's. Plausibly the American recording artist whose work I am most intrigued about at this point in time. Life has become a lot more interesting now given the possibility of hearing new music from Kelela Meisner Christos.